My name's Tyler, I'm 31, been married to Juliet for 8 years. We have 2 kids, Olivia 6 and Brandon 4. I thought we had a good life together, nice house in the suburbs, decent jobs, the whole American dream thing. I work in construction management, which means I'm out on job sites most days from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Juliet works part-time at a dental office, gets home around 2 p.m. when the kids are still at daycare and school. Perfect setup, right? Wrong. It started with little things. Juliet would be on her phone constantly, giggling at messages, then quickly putting it face down when I walked in the room. She'd take longer getting ready in the mornings, wearing nicer clothes to her part-time job than she ever wore for date nights with me. New perfume appeared on her dresser, something expensive I definitely didn't buy her. The real red flag was when she started working late more often. A dental office that closes at 4 p.m. suddenly needed her until 7 or 8? Come on. But I'm not a suspicious guy by nature, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were doing inventory, maybe she was helping with insurance paperwork. I trusted my wife of 8 years. Then one Tuesday, I had to come home early because one of our suppliers screwed up a delivery. I pulled into our driveway around 1 p.m. and saw a car I didn't recognize, a black BMW sedan parked across the street. As I'm getting out of my truck, I see Juliet rushing some guy out our back door. Tall, dark hair, wearing a suit. They were both laughing, and he kissed her cheek before jogging to that BMW. My stomach dropped to my boots. Juliet came back inside, and I waited about 10 minutes before walking in like nothing happened. She was in the kitchen, hair a little messy, lipstick gone, acting like she'd been cleaning all day. Asked me why I was home early with this fake surprised voice that made my skin crawl. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while Juliet dozed beside me, probably dreaming about her boyfriend. My mind was racing with questions, anger, hurt, the whole emotional roller coaster. But instead of confronting her right then, something cold and calculating took over. Maybe it was the shock, maybe it was 8 years of marriage making me think strategically instead of emotionally. I decided to play dumb and gather evidence. If Juliet wanted to play games, I'd play too, but my game had different rules. The next morning, I acted completely normal. Made coffee, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her just like always. But I was watching everything now. Every text notification, every phone call, every excuse about working late or meeting girlfriends for drinks. I started varying my schedule without telling her. Instead of always getting home at 5:30, I'd come back at different times, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., sometimes even lunch break. That BMW showed up twice more that week. Different days, same routine, guy leaves through the back door right before I get home. Juliet was getting sloppy, probably because she thought I was clueless. She'd forget to fix her hair, leave coffee cups for 2 people in the sink, once I even found a men's watch in our bathroom that definitely wasn't mine. She claimed she was cleaning it for her brother Kevin, but Kevin wears digital watches and this was some fancy Swiss thing. The hardest part was acting normal around the kids. Olivia kept asking why Daddy seemed sad, and I had to put on this fake smile while my marriage was falling apart. Brandon's too young to understand, but kids pick up on tension. The house felt different, like there was this toxic cloud hanging over everything. I started getting up earlier and staying up later, avoiding being in the same room as Juliet for too long. Some nights I'd hear her on the phone in our bedroom, talking in whispers and laughing. Those laughs used to be for me. 2 weeks into my investigation, I realized I needed hard evidence. Suspicions and mystery cars wouldn't hold up if this went to court, and I was already thinking about divorce proceedings. I'm not proud of what I did next, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I hired a private investigator named Gary Williams. Former cop, came highly recommended from my lawyer buddy Mike. Cost me $150 an hour, but it was worth every penny for peace of mind and bulletproof evidence. Gary was professional and discreet. Set up surveillance on our house, tailed Juliet when she left work, the whole 9 yards. Within a week, he had photos, videos, license plate numbers, everything. Turns out Juliet's boyfriend is Anthony Rodriguez, a marketing executive who works downtown. Married himself, with 3 kids. Real piece of work. The photos were gut-wrenching but necessary. Juliet and Anthony holding hands at restaurants across town, kissing in parking lots, going into that fancy hotel on 5th Street during her lunch breaks. Gary even got audio of them planning their next meeting, talking about how clueless I was and how they needed to be more careful. That audio recording nearly broke me. Hearing my wife of 8 years laugh about deceiving me, calling me sweet but boring Tyler, and talking about how Anthony made her feel alive again. She said I was too focused on work and the kids, that our marriage had become routine. Maybe she was right about some of that, but it didn't justify what she was doing to our family. I made copies of everything, photos, videos, financial records showing hotel charges on her credit card, phone records with hundreds of calls and texts to Anthony's number. Stored them in a safety deposit box at a different bank than where we usually banked. Juliet had no idea I was building a case that would destroy her in court. The waiting was torture. Every morning I'd wake up and remember all over again that my marriage was a lie. Every evening she'd come home with some new excuse about where she'd been, and I'd nod and smile while dying inside. But I kept playing my part because I knew the payoff would be worth it. 3 weeks into gathering evidence, I met with Amanda Foster, the best divorce attorney in our city. She came recommended by Mike, who'd seen her work in some nasty custody battles. Amanda was sharp, no nonsense, and exactly what I needed for what was coming. "Tyler, you've got a solid case here," she said, reviewing Gary's evidence file. Adultery, financial infidelity, emotional abandonment of the children during her affairs. In this state, that matters for property division and custody arrangements. We spent 2 hours going through strategy. Juliet had always handled our finances, thought she was smarter with money than me. Turns out that was a mistake on her part. I had access to all our accounts, could see every hotel charge, every expensive dinner, every gift she'd bought for Anthony with our joint funds. She'd spent over $3,000 of our money on her affair in just 2 months. Amanda explained how the courts would view this. Juliet's adultery wouldn't just impact property division, it would affect custody too. Judges don't look kindly on parents who prioritize affairs over their children's well-being. The fact that she was bringing Anthony to our house while the kids could have come home early from school was particularly damaging. I started documenting everything about Juliet parenting during this period. The time she forgot to pick up Brandon from daycare because she was with Anthony. The parent-teacher conference she missed because of a work emergency that was actually a romantic lunch. Olivia's soccer game where Juliet showed up late, distracted, checking her phone instead of watching our daughter play. Meanwhile, I was stepping up as a father. Taking the kids to every activity, helping with homework, being present in ways that would look good to a family court judge. It wasn't calculated, I genuinely wanted to be there for Olivia and Brandon during this nightmare. But I knew it would help my case too. The hardest part was keeping this secret from everyone. My parents, my co-workers, even Mike didn't know the full extent of what I was planning. Amanda advised complete confidentiality until we were ready to file. Juliet couldn't know what was coming or she might try to hide assets or turn the kids against me. By the end of the 5th week, I had enough evidence to destroy Juliet in court 10 times over. Gary had documented 23 separate meetings between Juliet and Anthony, including overnight stays at hotels when she told me she was visiting her sister in Portland. Her sister confirmed she hadn't seen Juliet in months when I casually asked. I decided to end the charade on a Friday afternoon. Juliet had texted me that she was working late again. The dental office apparently needed her until 8 p.m. for quarterly reports. Gary confirmed she was actually at Anthony's apartment downtown. His wife and kids were out of town visiting family. I picked up Olivia and Brandon from school and daycare like normal, but instead of going home, we went to my parents' house. Told them I needed them to watch the kids overnight because Juliet and I had to deal with an emergency. They could tell something was wrong but didn't pry. At 6 p.m., I drove to Anthony's apartment building. Nice place, way fancier than our suburban home. I called Juliet phone from the lobby. "Hey honey, where are you?" I asked when she answered. "Still at work, baby. These reports are taking forever. I'll probably be another hour or two." "That's funny," I said, "because I'm standing in the lobby of Anthony Rodriguez's apartment building, and his doorman just confirmed you went upstairs about an hour ago." The silence on the other end was deafening. I could hear Anthony in the background asking what was wrong. "Tyler, I can explain," she started, but I cut her off. "Don't. Just don't. Come down to the lobby right now. We're going home to talk." 20 minutes later, Juliet appeared in the elevator looking like she'd seen a ghost. Her clothes were wrinkled, makeup smeared, hair messy. She looked guilty as hell, and we both knew it. The car ride home was silent except for her occasional attempts to start explaining. I told her to save it for when we got home. I needed to see her face when I showed her exactly how much I knew. Back at our house, Juliet tried to take control of the conversation. She sat on our couch, the same couch where she'd probably been with Anthony dozens of times, and launched into this prepared speech about how our marriage had problems, how she felt neglected, how this thing with Anthony just happened. I let her talk for about 5 minutes before I opened my laptop and started the slideshow I'd prepared. Photos of her and Anthony from Gary's surveillance. Hotel receipts. Phone records. Bank statements showing her spending our money on gifts for him. Juliet's face went white as she realized the scope of what I'd discovered. But the worst part for her was still coming. "This is every time you've lied to me in the past 2 months," I said, pulling out a printed spreadsheet. "Every fake excuse about working late. Every made-up story about girls' nights and family emergencies. I documented it all, Juliet. Every single lie." She started crying then, but I wasn't done. I played the audio recording Gary had captured of her and Anthony mocking me, calling our marriage boring, planning their next rendezvous while laughing about how easy it was to deceive me. "You want to know what hurts the most?" I asked her. "It's not even the cheating. It's how stupid you thought I was. How you and your boyfriend sat around laughing about poor, clueless Tyler who works all day to support his family while his wife destroys it." Juliet tried to interrupt, tried to say it wasn't like that, but I showed her more evidence. Text messages Gary had obtained through legal channels. Financial records proving she'd spent thousands of our money on her affair. Photos of Anthony leaving our house, our children's home, through the back door. "The kids, Tyler," she whispered. "What about Olivia and Brandon? What about them?" I replied. "You didn't think about them when you brought your boyfriend to their home. You didn't think about them when you missed Brandon's preschool graduation for a romantic lunch. You didn't think about them when you chose Anthony over your family every single day for 2 months." By this point, Juliet was sobbing, begging me to give her another chance, promising she'd end it with Anthony and we could go to counseling. But I was done. 8 years of marriage, destroyed because she thought cheating was a game she could win. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. Amanda Foster was worth every penny I paid her. With the evidence Gary and I had gathered, Juliet had no leverage whatsoever. Her own attorney advised her to take the settlement offer rather than drag this through a trial that would only make things worse for her. I got primary custody of Olivia and Brandon. Juliet gets them every other weekend and 1 evening a week, with supervised visitation for the first 6 months because the court was concerned about her bringing Anthony around the children. I kept the house, the better car, and most of our assets. Juliet had to pay me spousal support because her adultery and financial infidelity weighed heavily in the property division. The best part? Anthony's wife found out about the affair during our divorce proceedings. Juliet lost her boyfriend the same week she lost her family. His wife took him for everything he was worth in their divorce, and Anthony ended up moving back in with his parents at age 41. Real winner there, Juliet. Juliet tried to come back, of course. About 3 months after the divorce was finalized, she showed up at the house crying, begging me to forgive her and take her back. Said she'd made the biggest mistake of her life, that she realized what she'd thrown away. You wanted to play games, I told her through the screen door. I played better. You wanted to lie and cheat and think you were smarter than me. Well, now you know how smart I actually am. This is what happens when you destroy a family for a fling. Olivia and Brandon are doing well. They were upset about the divorce initially, but kids are resilient. They love their mom and enjoy their weekend visits, but they're thriving in the stable environment I've created for them. I'm dating again, nothing serious yet, but I'm ready to trust someone new eventually. Sometimes I wonder if I should have tried counseling first, given Juliet a chance to come clean and work on our marriage. But then I remember those audio recordings of her laughing about deceiving me, and I know I made the right choice. Some betrayals are too deep to forgive. Juliet learned a hard lesson about consequences. She thought she could have her cake and eat it too, but she ended up with nothing but regret and child support payments. My revenge wasn't about destroying her, it was about protecting my children and making sure she faced the full consequences of her choices. Justice served.